Welcome, Business Geeks, back to another Business Geeks podcast. Today, we have a wonderful show here for you. It's only the two of us. It's Sam and I. I am Super Joe Pardo. That is Samantha Riley from SamanthaRiley.global. Hope if you have any questions today relating to your business, please drop them in the chat below. Let us know where you're watching from, where you're listening from, if you're just like got it playing in the background or something like that. We have a show for you today. A couple different topics, and I think this one is, I sent this video. Well, first off, Sam, how are you doing? How's everything?
I'm doing very well, Joe. As you can see, we're packing up. We're getting ready to make a big move. So There's not much happening in the background there. And after this, I think the rest of that's going to make its way to a box as well. But how are you, Joe? How are you feeling? Because you were sick last time that we spoke to you.
I still had the remnants of the cough. The cough thing just, it's one of those things that just doesn't want to die. It never wants to let go. And it makes it really, really tough. What is up, Brent Basham? Good to see you in the chat today.
Brent Basham, yay, hey.
Yeah, I'm feeling okay. It's just still a lot of cough, a lot of mucus, and just working my way through it. Other than that, better than I was.
Well, hopefully in the next hour we'll make you feel just so amazing that you'll forget you even had the cold.
I hope so. So today there was a video I sent you last night. Well, it was my last night. I guess yesterday morning.
No, I got it through. No. You actually when you sent it, it was in quite late in the afternoon, and I was thinking, what are you doing up at this time of the night?
It was it's like 11:30 or something like that.
Yeah.
So this video, I just happened to come across my recommended feed. It's called "The Lies You Have Been Told About Side Hustles and Multiple Streams of Income." It's by a guy who has a channel called How Money Works. I've been a fan of the channel for a while, and it just happened. I think I'm subscribed. Am I subscribed? I am subscribed. But so this came out on March 8th, and there was a couple of things that really I think were sticking points to me that I wanted to bring up here on the show. And it's kind of a shame that Jen's not here to indulge in this topic, because I think she would really have a field day. Maybe I'll send it to her, and the next time we can convene here, we can get her in on this. So some of the lies, right? So let me share my screen. So the side hustle checklist, right? So according to his checklist, which I think, well, there's actually 3 and
there was 4.
There's 4, but this is the page that shows all 4 of the checklist, right? Number 1, it must make money in order for it to be considered a side hustle and not a hobby. Right? And number 2, it must have a flexible schedule. Number 3, you must be capable of doing it. And then the number 4, should the little preview thumbnails are not lining up with what is there. Should this just be your job? And the example that he gave in the video, and I definitely recommend you go and check out the video. I can link it below, but is like, well, if you wanted to make extra money and you're like, okay, I'm going to go cut lawns, right? Well, in order to get enough lawns to cut to make it worth the time and effort, you have to go and like knock on people's doors and cold call and things that, most people generally don't like to go and do. But if you're really good at that aspect of it, maybe you should just do that aspect, the sales, the cold calling for somebody else, so you don't have to worry about pushing a lawnmower around or driving a lawnmower around in the meantime, and instead can just focus on getting more clients because you're really, really good at the cold calling part, right? Now, at that point, where are you in agreement so far? Because I know it seemed like you didn't totally agree when your response was, that's interesting.
No, I did not agree with this video. And I didn't tell you that before we started recording because I wanted to keep it keep it fresh, and bring a new perspective. You and I are very good friends, and we agree on a lot, but on this particular topic, we don't.
Oh wow. Okay, so this is good. We, in this show we tend to agree a lot, or two of the three of us will agree a lot. So it's good that there's only
Actually,
two of us,
usually
and
it's me and Jen. Usually it's the
that's
girls against the boys. Uh,
yes, yeah. So it's me and me and myself and Leon in his headphones listening to the show, editing it later the fact. Thanks, Leon. Appreciate you. Okay, so and shout out to everybody, Locutus, Scott,
yeah, all the people that
Axel.
are
Good
saying
to see
hi.
you.
So good.
So we're talking about the lies you've been told about side hustles and multiple streams of income. So what part of the four is there something about the four rules, that the checklist, that you
Okay,
don't agree
obviously,
on?
I definitely agree in number one. Definitely agree with that. Definitely agree with number two. So, what he's talking about, just to break that number two down, is you must have a flexible schedule because your side hustle needs to work around your regular job. So, get that. You must be capable of doing it. Totally get that. Number four, don't agree with. Should this just be your job? Because there are some people that are quite happy just to push a lawnmower around on the weekends. And he does go in the video, he talks about, you know, people don't like to come out of their comfort zone and do that. If they don't like that, just, get a new job that pays more. Well, I've never met anyone that loves job interviews either. To me, sitting there through a job interview is just as uncomfortable as going cold calling. It's the same thing as far as I'm concerned. Would you, I don't know, do you agree with that, Joe?
Not entirely. I mean, look, have I ever been? I think I've been in like two job interviews ever. And
Yeah,
most
I
of the job
guess
interviews I've had, I've been the one interviewing, not
I was going to
or
say, not
the
everyone's got the
interviewer.
benefit of having a family business that they work for. Like,
Well,
so
but I
it's
didn't
a
always
little
work
bit different.
there. So, and I have, so like I interviewed at Best Buy, I think, when I was like 15, 16 years old. Um and I also I didn't really do an interview when I worked at HopeWorks. Um because
Yeah.
it was already kind of like preordained that like this was like this, you were selected, you were chosen, and
You were
it
the
was mine to
chosen
lose.
one.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I mean, that's one of those things where, so I don't think that they're uncomfortable. But I
Oh, hang
I
on
will
here. Scott
say,
says he'd rather go to the dentist instead of an interview. I mean, I'm with you,
oh,
Scott. Like totally. Like they're not very nice. Here's the other thing that I guess was in my mind as I was watching this video. My very first business was a dance studio, and that was my side hustle while I was working my corporate gig. And what happened was I was working the corporate gig. I only decided to start the dance studio. It was as a side hustle just to bring in some extra cash. It was never going to turn into anything huge. And then within the first year, we decided to open a dancewear store. And that was because we saw an opening in the market or a gap in the market. So if I hadn't have done that side hustle, it wouldn't have turned into my full-time gig. I wouldn't be here talking to you now. I'd probably still be in some job that I hate. I mean, I don't know, but sometimes your side hustles turn into other things, just like your YouTube channel. That started off just as a little thing, and now it's a bigger thing.
well, I mean, it's okay. So there's no question mark at the end, but there should be a question mark on, should this just be your job? I feel like there should be a question mark right here, not like as a definitive statement that like you should just quit your job and be like, yeah, like this is all gonna work, at least
Well,
out of the gate for me.
I think he was actually um, going down the path of it shouldn't be. You should just get a better job. That was
Well, that was one
my
of the,
take on it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the things that he brought up, that like, oh, maybe you're just in the wrong industry. Like if you enjoy the cold calling part of going to get like lawn care, clients, maybe you should just go get, instead of working at 9 to 5 that doesn't pay as much, maybe you should just go into sales, and but so
Mm.
I think it can also be look, I'm big on the experiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what we learn, we look, failures are lessons, right? But lessons are all like the failures are also experiences that we get to learn from. And there's a slight difference between experience and lessons in my opinion, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
a lesson is like a hard thing that we can learn from, blah blah blah, and refer back to. But an experience isn't can be inspirational, motivational. Like there's more X factor in an experience that we can't always like uh quantitatively put our fingers on. And an example of that would be my podcast, right? So I went from having a podcast to having the independent podcast conference to meeting people, and those people meeting, and they enabling me to meet other people that enabled me to meet other people. And like if you track it all back down, it's like, well, if I didn't start the podcast like 5 years ago, these experiences, these things wouldn't happen,
Wouldn't have
and
happened,
I wouldn't
right?
gain all this knowledge and experience along the way, as well as the hard lessons of that came with failure. So or just missing the target in general. So
Mm-hmm.
I I think that there's something to be said for that being able to, excuse me, get out of your comfort zone of like the 9 to 5 that you're working, and going to do something like that might be completely different. You might be sitting at a desk all day, and then, oh, I'm going to go cut lawns on the weekends because at least I get out of sitting behind a desk
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
on those weekends. So like I can see that, but then that opens up to the experience and the lessons that come with, like, oh, maybe I should just be in sales because I would make a lot more money, have a lot more opportunity, and I enjoy it. Now, obviously, this is still a very fringe example because
Totally.
if everybody was like, oh, I just had to go and have this like crappy experience of knocking on people's doors, and then all of a sudden I'm gonna be like, oh, I can go be a salesperson at any
Uh-huh.
Fortune 500
Uh-huh.
company, like ding
Isn't
ding,
it's
like
yeah, exactly. But we're talking about the fringe, I guess, in all of it, right? Because some people are not going to turn their actually a lot of people don't turn their side hustles into their main business either. Whether it's your business or your job. But I don't know. I think it's okay to do things on the side.
no, I do too. And even if it's even if it's a hobby, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
that's those the experiences that can come with that. I mean, there's a lot of things that I could say for, if I didn't DJ, I wouldn't have started a podcast, even though
Uh-huh.
I had friends that podcast and I've been listening to podcasts since 2004, 2005. Never would have had, like, it just, I wouldn't have been able to get out of my own shell, get out of my own way, and find my voice and figure it out, right? So,
Sorry, I
what
just laughed at Brent's comment.
there would be a lot of people waiting to get their lawns cut. uh,
Oh yeah, he gets the bell for that. That's for sure.
yeah. so, the other thing that I think really came up though was this the I don't want to say myth, but the uh, quote unquote common knowledge that like all millionaires or billionaires have like at least 7 streams of income, right?
Hmm.
And I think to me this is the crux of it, and I think you probably didn't make it this far into the video because this
No,
is at like 7 minutes and 30 seconds.
yeah, I did not make it that far. So
But
you explain it to me, and I'll give you my take on it.
this is so that whole thing came up from a study that was like from like 19, I want to say it was like 1970 something to
Uh-huh.
2002, pre mostly internet age, right?
Yep.
The
Yep.
age that we're living in now. I mean, the internet existed. Heck, I've been living on the internet since like 92, 93. Uh, but for the most part, the internet was not
It
what it
wasn't like
is
it is
in the
now.
current state, right? And
Yeah,
even in 2002, it was very much not in what it is today.
totally.
So uh, that study showed that there was like, okay, where are all the streams of income coming from these tax returns that they did the study through? And what they found was like only like something like, I think there's a chart here that shows it, but I'd have to find that chart. It was like something like 20% of those people actually had like seven streams of income. like less
Mm-hmm.
than, or it was like less than 20% of the people in the study. And those
Mm-hmm.
streams of income were not really direct streams of income of like, ooh, I have this side hustle and this side hustle and this side hustle,
Yeah.
and I do this and this and this. It's like mostly passive income, right? Investment income. That's
But
mostly passive, right? I
I
mean,
had thought, I mean, to me, it's you do your side hustle to be able to get the extra money to invest it. I had assumed that that's what people were doing. Sometimes people, I mean, with sometimes people do side hustles, you know, to get an extra holiday or something. I get that, but if we're talking about seven streams of income, that would be normally I would have thought people were investing it, and that's what he's talking about here, right?
right. And the other fact of that study was most of those people were older, so they were like 60
Mm-hmm.
some plus. So they
Uh-huh.
had
Uh-huh.
already worked, they had already
Yeah.
saved, and their seven streams of income were pretty much all passive streams of income.
Yeah.
Investment income for our people listening at home, investment income, earned income, rental income, royalties, capital gains, profit, and interest income. Which, to truth be told, like I wouldn't even I wouldn't have counted all these as seven incomes, seven
Mm.
streams myself.
Hmm.
I wouldn't have counted them as that because
I
when I look
probably
at like
wouldn't have in that way.
yeah, like when you say, because the other thing is like when you say rental income, but then you also say profit,
Mm.
like not all your rental income is going to be profit. There's still taxes. There's even if you own the place outright, and maybe Scott can help shed some light on this since he works in this field. Real estate is one of the largest side hustles. Yeah. And
Mm.
so that's the thing, right? So taking the money that you make and then investing it and then having those different types. But I think majority of those millionaires in that study, it said in the video, there was like they had three, and the three were like their base income, like their like nine
Hmm.
to five
Yep.
income, investments, and maybe rentals or something to that effect.
Hmm.
It was very much like, I mean, how I would say you can almost categorize those three, like these seven, into those three, uh,
Yeah. I mean, it's been pulled
for some of
apart
them.
quite a lot there. Like, yeah.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, like the whole thing was like, oh, the whole hustle culture thing is kind of overblown, and it's really not as complicated, or made it needs to be as complicated as it seems. And a lot of those people are just trying to ultimately just sell you a course on how to create those revenue
See, I
revenue
think that
streams.
I've got a little I kind of get where you're going there, and there's always those conversations, right? But I think that a lot of people have got side hustles because just thinking back to the 70s, life is way more expensive now than it was back then. It was way more simple back then. You know, on one income, you could afford to buy a home. You know, it was quite okay for someone to stay at home with the children. It's very different now. You know, it's very, I don't know. There are people obviously that can buy a house with just one income, but it's not the norm, right? It's
Yeah.
we're in a different world, so I don't think we can compare now to 1970, and that's what he's doing because it's a very different world.
Yes. Yeah, well, I mean, he's trying to make the point that it's the world is different than it was, and that the people that, like, most of the people that are trying to tell you that you have to work 120 hours a week in order to make anything happen, are probably trying to sell you a course on how to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know a lot of people that are in full-time business because they have done a side hustle. And I think that if you can do a side hustle to find out whether you like something or whether you don't, because I know that going back, I used to run retreats, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, I'm thinking. And there was a lot of people that would come to these retreats, and they were around like, you know, living your life by design. So one of the things that we would talk about was career and business. And a lot of people would come to the retreat and say, I really hate my job. I want to start a business. What ended up happening was there was also a small percentage of people that started their side hustle and went, actually, you know what? This is really hard and I like my job more than I thought. So at the end of the day, as long as people figure out where they sit, like they wouldn't have done that if they didn't do the side hustle, right? So there were some
Yep.
people that are now and still are in business full time, and there are some that went, actually, I'm going to go back and go all in on my job instead of just dipping my toe in the water.
Yeah. Well, again, that goes back to the lessons and experiences, right? That we
Mm-hmm.
gain and the knowledge that we sometimes we don't realize how the experiences that we're having today are going to affect us like 3, 5, 6, 10 years from now because we had those experiences, didn't really know how they were supposed. I mean, it's kind of like the whole like God has a plan thing, and we might not see how this is all going to play out because we don't know what's down the road, but having these experiences enables us to be able to better cope with it or better deal with it or have a just a better time when we get there because we had those
Totally.
experiences.
Yeah.
Hey,
So,
Jacob.
so are you in team? I'm not for the side hustles.
No, no, no. I am. I just think that I just thought it was an interesting video that it was highlighting the lies. And of course, at the end of the video, he discloses the fact that like, hey, like obviously this YouTube channel is my side
Uh
hustle.
huh. That's
I with the
exactly what I was
intention for it
thinking.
to get well, with the intention for it to eventually, and he actually said that this is the year that he plans to make the jump.
Uh
Which I
huh.
mean, at 375,000 subscribers and like 19 million views, like probably getting
That's pretty
time, right?
decent.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Actually, that's a lot
Yeah.
decent. I was being a
That
little
is a
bit,
that is a lot
a little bit
decent.
tongue in cheek there.
I think was it 19 million? I might be sure. I am sure it changed him. He's
A
almost at 40
lot.
million.
That
40
seems
million views.
awesome.
Yeah, it is. And in the financial sector, no less, where he's making
Uh huh.
probably decent CPM on that. So,
Yeah.
no, so it's not that you can't or shouldn't do any of that. It's just, things to think about when you're, getting all on the hype train of, work 120 hours a week and don't have a life and blah, blah, blah. In fact, I'm in the middle of watching a video called I Almost Burned Out. Here's how I escaped my anxiety. And this guy from a guy, Nicholas Christie, he was I guess an editor for another YouTuber, and he decided to start his own YouTube channel and go for it, and then had like a viral success, and then it went from having that success to, oh my gosh, everybody is emailing me wanting something from me all at once. This is actually horrible. Like this is turning into a nightmare, and now I feel like I have to work nonstop all of the time to be able to get that next hit so that people that watch the first one, watch that first hit and thought, oh my god, this guy's great, and subscribed, like all of a sudden I need to be able to replicate that again and again, and I need to work 15 hours a day in my little apartment just grinding the
Yeah.
editing process to to a fine to a fine needle
Well,
thread
I think that's
thing.
definitely one of the conversations is that there is a point when you start your side hustle where it grows to a point where it's still not enough to be your full time job, but it is really, really zapping your energy and your time. There is that. It's a really uncomfortable time, and I've been there, and I'm sure you've been there, Joe. And you've got to make the decision. What am I going to do? I either have to cut it back, so I'm going to have a breakdown, or I have to go all in and like really go all in because I need to grow this thing really quickly. And I think that's where you have to really know your numbers, know your strengths, have a plan, be very strategic about it. So, because let's not lie, there is that point where it is tough.
It is, right? I mean, look, I tried doing that push not too long ago with this channel for like the last 6 months, where I was just pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing as much as I possibly could to get it to where I wanted it to be. But at the end of the day, it's going to grow as it grows, right? It's going to grow at the rate it's going to grow, and it's grown phenomenally.
Mm,
But it wasn't enough to be able to be like, okay, I can actually shutter other aspects, other income streams in my business to be able to just focus on this. and I'm mostly one person doing it. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things where it's like it became more daunting. And I'll tell you, it became more stressful because of the fact that I'm like, yeah, like we're getting all the views, we're getting income, and we're getting all these things, and subscribers, and the community's growing. It's awesome, but I can't really celebrate it because I'm really stressed out that I'm not going to have enough money, in 3 months from now or 4 months from now to be able to justify all this effort and time I'm putting into this, and not giving other time and energy and resources to the other aspects of my business. And that's a
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's a really big problem. But Scott says, as Gary Vee likes to say, everyone has from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. for your side hustle. No, everyone doesn't. Some people have kids, okay? And you don't know what is going to happen the next night, that night. What time, my son will wake up at 1, 2, 3 in the morning. And if I wake up, then I generally can't fall back to sleep. So I can't just say, oh, I'll just go to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning, because he might wake up, right? And then I might just get my second wind and just be laying there with my mind not being able to turn off. So it's not that simple. It's not always that simple. If you go back in time to like being 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, 20 years old. Well, even then I personally didn't have a whole heck of a lot of time because I was busy running in the business, and all that. Jacob, we did see your question. Let me get that up here. Jacob says, hey, I have a clothing business called College Dropout, which I love. Is that a Kanye reference? And post frequently on TikTok. And I started Instagram ads and Facebook. What would you recommend to get it out to the world? Now, Jacob, can you drop the link to your clothing line, your clothing
That would be
business?
super helpful because
I'm seeing if I can find it. Well, probably not that. Not that. Probably no. This might be it. I think I might have found it on Facebook. Is it got a blue logo in it? I don't know if this is it. I'm gonna say probably not, since it hasn't been posted on since 2020.
well, while Jacob's getting that information, should we finish up the side hustle conversation?
Yes.
So I think my question was, are you team side hustle or team not side hustle? That was where we were kind of finishing off.
Yes, I definitely team side hustle,
Yeah.
because it also did bring up, and I don't know if you made it in the video where he talked about like Uber as a side hustle.
Totally did. And I found that
Yeah.
really interesting because one of the things that Leon and I do every time we get into an Uber is ask the driver, do you love it? Do you have a job? Like we're always asking them, is this your full-time thing? Is it your side hustle? And we've heard some really, really amazing stories of how people are using it, from being full-time in Uber to one girl that said she just leaves home half an hour early and just picks up a couple of trips that are going to get her into the office, clearly before COVID. But, we've heard lots of stories, and I've never had an Uber driver say they hate it. Every Uber driver that we've had has said it's really good money and that they really enjoy it because, they've got if they don't want to do it, they don't do it. And if they do want to do it, they pick up some extra cash. So
Are they saying that because the phone is running the app and the app is listening to them?
well, if they didn't want to do it, they wouldn't be driving, right?
Well, they might need the money, and it's an opportunity.
Totally.
Like
and that's what it's all about.
Well,
it's what it's all about. And with Uber, if you don't want to show up, you just don't show up. So it's way better than being stuck in a job where you've got to show up from, 8 till 8. Yeah, the old 9 to 5 is a bit of a fallacy
hold
now.
on. No. It ain't necessarily that simple. Now, maybe Uber is a little different than the food delivery services. Here. Well, the food delivery services, so I've had a couple friends do those, and the problem is if you don't set yourself up on a regular schedule to be at certain areas and certain things like that, you won't get the good deliveries.
Well, that makes sense too, because they're still a
Right, no, and
business,
it
and they
does,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it makes it harder for it to be like, oh, it's my sometimes like I'll just pick up a few. I'm going to Taco Bell anyway. Let me see. Can I pick up 2 orders and drop them off, and then pick up a few extra bucks and basically get my food for free.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That kind
Oh,
of thing. So it's not necessarily that simple.
hey, life's not
Um,
simple. Full stop, is it? They're like,
no,
there's
but
always
I
loss.
also live
Like,
in the suburbs, so it's slash rural area. So it's probably a bit different than living in the city where it's like
yeah,
everything like it's so much closer to each other.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. So if it's obviously, I'll finish up. I'm definitely on team side hustle.
yes, ding ding, awesome. uh,
Uh,
so
so we're still waiting for Jacob to send us through the info. I don't think we can answer this without having a little bit of info. Why don't you share? Because I cannot wait to hear. You have been on the phone to customer service again.
oh god,
I need to hear
know
this
customer
story.
service journeys
I
of
have to
customer
hear
service.
this story.
It's like I'm like a surfer surfing the the phone line. Uh, okay, here's what's been happening, right? So that new minivan that I went and picked up in North Carolina,
Uh-huh.
was the problem is getting the plates and the registration transferred to New Jersey, right?
Uh-huh.
That's a problem. So, well, it's not a problem, but it became a problem because you get temp tags and they're only supposed to last like I don't know 20 days or something like that. But nobody was getting back to me, and I wasn't hearing anything from like the dealership. I went to the DMV and they were like, oh, like just take this piece of paper and send it over to the bank, and then the bank can send it to us, the title, like mail the title to us, and then we can do the transfer and all that stuff. Now, I wasn't aware, like, I thought that the dealership was going to take care of all this, but I wasn't 100% sure because I kind of got, like, kind of spacey answers. So I call up the bank and I say, first of all, I had to wait like 20 some minutes on hold. So it's whatever. I'm doing other things.
Uh-huh.
But when I get the person, she was, I was like, well, I'm trying to get this taken care of because like our plates expired back on like the 22nd, and now it's I don't know, this was last week, so it's like it's already like March 1st or 2nd or something like that. So it's already the plates are expired. I'm not super worried about it. I don't think any cop's gonna pull us over and be like, "Where's your plates at?" Like it's COVID, it's the illness and all that. So it's like everything's slow, right? So I call up the bank and she's like, "Oh, well, you need to mail us that piece of that header letterhead from the DMV, or you can fax it." I said, "I can't email it to you," and she's like, "No,
Faxed it.
no, you need to fax it,
Oh my goodness.
or you can mail it to us, and it'll take 20 days for us to get it to the DMV." So I'm
Oh,
like,
no way.
okay, well, I don't really want to take that long to do this. So, and I was already having a bad day, and I was like explaining why this is a problem, and I don't think I was being overly not nice, but
Uh-huh.
she wasn't having any of it, any
Uh-huh.
of it. Ultimately, she's like, "Okay, well, that's great, sir. Is there anything else I can do for you? Okay, great. Have a great day." And before I could even say another word, she hung up on me. And I was like,
Oh.
wow, like, all right. So I'm like, what? I, I, I don't understand. Like, like, I didn't understand. So it was not a great experience, especially because you're starting off like a, 60-month loan with this bank. So hooray for that.
Wow. Although I did have a bit of a laugh before we started, before we went live, saying, I wonder if there's like this national, like, hey, this guy rings customer service all the time. It's like, hey, everyone, I've got Super Joe on the phone.
Yeah. Send out the bat signal.
National Register of Customer Service people.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
pretty.
Yeah.
That is terrible.
It was
That
not. It
is
was
not
not my
good.
favorite thing. But I did have a good experience.
Oh,
Um,
share.
I did right. So a good experience was calling shopdisney.com
Uh-huh.
because I placed an order. I had some American Express gift cards. So I was like, "Oh, I'm going to convert these to Disney gift cards because apparently Disney does not accept American Express gift cards, but they will on their Shop Disney website." Go
Uh-huh.
figure. The more you know, right? So I call up, I get somebody instantly, which if anybody that's watching or listening knows anything about Disney, it's usually like an
A
hour to
long
three
time.
hour like hold time. And you're just listening to like "It's a Small World" over and on loop. They play other music, but when
It's
that
quite
comes on, it's like,
repetitive.
oh god,
Uh-huh,
yeah.
uh-huh.
So it's like, okay. Um, I get this lady and she's super helpful. She's like, okay, no problem. I'll have them release those. You verified it, blah blah blah. I think it was just like they were holding up because I waited the 24 hours for the gift card codes to be sent. And I'm like, why is this being held up? But I had a bunch I was like, okay, so one went through. I was like, I have a whole bunch more to go through. Can do I really have to wait 24 hours? And she's like, well, you're supposed to. So, like, I put one through, didn't get it, obviously, right away. So I was like, well, I'm not waiting another 24 hours for this. So I call her out. I get the same lady. I got the same lady 3 times on
Wow.
the phone. Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, so I don't know if they just happen to have like nobody calls Shop Disney apparently for customer support, but so she helped me out the second time. She's like, "Well, we're supposed to wait 24 hours." So I was like, "Yeah, I know, but I already did that with the last one, and I still had to call you 27 hours later to make something happen to push it to go through." So she's like, okay, I'll do it for you this time, no problem. I said, oh, okay, well, I might have some more. So then I did some more, and then I waited the 24 hours, got nothing, of course. Called her, and then she's like, I was like, oh, how do we handle this? She's like, I'll handle it. And she ended up putting me on hold for like, I was like, oh, you can just, you didn't keep me on hold before. Just put it through and I'll wait for the emails. There's no big deal. She's like, no. Just hold on. And it's like 27 minutes goes by. She's like, I am so sorry. I apologize. Like, I did not want it to take that long. I had to talk to them and get them to do all the things. I was like, well, it was like 4 gift cards. So like it took, I guess, way longer than 4 minutes or four times as long as
Uh-huh,
when it was
uh-huh.
one. But
Yeah.
yeah, so she was I think her name was Brianna, super helpful. ShopDisney.com. Give them a
Ah,
give their customer
so
service a
good
call.
to hear the
Tell
happy
her
stories.
Joe Pardo sent you.
Yeah, that's so good. So
so
good.
so Jacob says he sent it. I think he asked for the link to your business so they could check it out. I just sent it. I didn't see the. Oh, you know what? Okay. Jacob, you're not going to probably be able to send the link because I think I have links disabled on YouTube for unfortunate reasons. But let me know. Is this your site here? The one that says coming soon at college dropout apparel, or is
Yeah,
it?
just give us a yes or a no. That'd be great.
Yeah, that would be super helpful. Um, yeah, so that would be helpful. So Axel says to get an understanding on how to create a business, should you follow online videos or articles or books? Is there such a reliable or somewhat resource to follow?
Hmm.
That is a wonderful
That's
question.
such a good question.
That is. Do you want to start first, or do you want me to start?
Well, yeah, okay, I can start. Well, a business is such a large topic because there's so many different types of businesses. You want to do Amazon drop shipping. Do you want to own a hairdresser, a restaurant, or an online service business? There's so many different types of businesses that I would start to think, what sort of business do you want to start first? Because then that helps you to know who it is to follow, because I think that videos, articles, and books are all places that I go still after being in business almost 30 years. I do all of those things. I'm pretty sure you do too, Joe.
Yeah.
It's not.
Mostly videos and articles, not so
Yeah.
much the books, but um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I do read lots of books, but if I want really up to date, I guess, I do a lot of online marketing. That not so much in a book because it changes so quickly. So then for me, that would be online videos and articles, because online marketing can change daily. So, which is where I was going, I guess, with it originally. What is it that you're trying to do so that you know where to go?
Yeah, I mean every so that there's a couple ways to look at it. Figuring out what niche you want to serve, right? And and then like what kind of business you're going to build around that, because you could sell stuff on Amazon, but that doesn't mean it's drop shipping it, drop shipping other people's products. You could
Totally.
start your own product, build your own
There's so
products,
many.
or and so there's lots of different ways to go there. Now, my issue with books, and I would also be leery of articles and videos, and even this video you're watching right now. Like,
Uh-huh.
you know, I always say, like, question everything, be skeptical. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And I think that there's a handful of principles that come into play with every business, when it comes to, we talked about this 2 weeks ago about relationships and building trust. And that's when trying to find your vendors, but even your customer base, and even your team members, and even your co-packers. I just talked to an interview that's coming out this Sunday with Regina Creasy, who was just on Shark Tank 2 weeks ago with her baby or diaper dust. It's like a activated charcoal product that like basically eliminates odors like
Oh,
instantly.
cool.
Yeah, it is cool, but you have to throw the thing out. Like you're not like putting it on your carpet, or you don't want to do any of that kind of thing. You basically just want to, put it maybe in the trash can or in the diapers, or somewhere that the next step is it's going in the trash, and you don't want the trash to smell.
Mhm.
But those relationships came up with when she was looking for co-packers and trying to figure all that out. So what I so again, does this pass the sniff test? Does it sound too good to be true? Is it something that's trying to sell you on some, like what we were just talking about, courses, right? Like, oh, you got to hustle 120 hours, buy my course, and you will figure out how to do that. Like, and I know Sam feels the same way. Start with what's in your heart and what you're really passionate about to figure out, like, what is it that I could do that actually makes sense for
Mhm.
that could potentially become a business. Like, and in some ways, as long as you're not relying on it to be like, it's this fight or flight,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
flight or crash. We're going for the moonshot here, and everything's ditch, and I haven't sold a single thing yet. I haven't built a single thing yet. I haven't had a single conversation with somebody who actually wanted to literally give me money right then for the thing to prove that anybody cares. You want to make sure that that you're starting from a place from in your heart, right, for something that you care about, so that you aren't gonna either get burnout or feel
Mhm.
like you're being taken advantage of. I
Yeah.
mean, there was that. You watched that doc? I haven't watched it yet. The Lululemon documentary.
No, I haven't seen it. What? I don't think we've talked about it on the show. I don't even know
Oh, I
what
thought we
documentary that
did.
is.
Yeah, it was all about
Oh, unless
how.
I was sleeping and you and Jen maybe I was having a snooze or you and Jen were doing something really
No, well, it
intelligent.
might have been. We might have talked about on one of the episodes you weren't there for it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm not
Maybe.
aware of a Lululemon
I think it's on.
documentary.
I think it's on Netflix.
Uh-huh.
I'm not 100% sure, but look, there's plenty of those, multi-level marketing and stuff like that like it can work for people, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you.
Mm.
And I would also be leery, like, what you're giving up for the benefits in which you're receiving, right? And look, people will say like, oh, free advice is worth exactly what you paid for it, kind of thing. Yes and no, right? Just because you hear something and you take in that information doesn't necessarily mean you run to the bank with it, right? I think that it's important to always be, questioning the advice that you're getting. I mean, I've heard like really bad advice. I know you have as well, Sam, over the years, where it's like, oh, you should like totally fire your whole staff and like start over from scratch because obviously it's not working, or it's just like, well, come on, it's not easy to find people in general, and maybe there's other perspectives to be able to find a solution than just like, yeah, screw it. I know I've gone round and round with my own dad about that over there. Oh, well, screw it. Like everybody could just get fired. It would just close the shop. And it's like, whoa, pump the brakes. Pump the
Yeah, I
brakes.
don't think that's really great.
No. But,
Probably
but but
not.
are you getting the advice from somebody who's actually done it before? Are you and what piece of the advice are you taking from it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's advice to be given or to be received from people who maybe haven't been in business or haven't been in your niche. Uh, I mean, in my I'm tech, me and you, right? For that matter, right? We are in that same boat where it's like I haven't been in every single business. I've
Yeah,
been in
and
a handful of businesses over my life,
I've
and
mentioned lots of times on this show, like, product development is it, I don't know anything about it. It's not the kind of business that I've run. And I think that there is no actually I know that there's no one that knows about all of the different businesses. But still be open to the perspectives of people because they can bring a different perspective. And I think it's just understanding that don't take people's answers for gospel all the time, but definitely also at the same time be open to what they're saying. Like, don't shut them down.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot to at the end of the day, it comes down to you doing the work and figuring it out as you go along. I mean, we've seen it so many times on Shark Tank. They're like, I didn't know what a barcode was. I didn't know what this was. I didn't know, I'm getting asked questions. I don't know. What do I do? I go and I Google it.
Mm-hmm,
Right?
mm-hmm.
And because not everything's going to apply to you. I kind of equate it to this. Like, if you want to learn a piece, like a complex piece of software, like Adobe Premiere, for example, you're not going to go teach me everything about Adobe Premiere, or in my case, I'm going to go on a Disney vacation. Teach me everything about how the Disney World works. Like, are you sure you want to ask that question? Because you're going to get like an encyclopedia of information that you're not going to be able to digest. You need to know the right answers when it's available. And as somebody that I respected, that was our sales manager for a number of years, used to say, like, I don't need to know it all. I just need to know who does know what I need to know
Yes,
when I need to know it.
100%. Yeah, it's all about the people. So yes, online products, online articles, books, all of that. I'm also a big believer in paying for courses and programs. I know you mentioned that, don't just go straight out and do that, but I'm a big believer of when you know what that niche is, that to get the coaching to help you get to the next level. I've always had a coach in all of my businesses. So definitely that's my personal recommendation. But yeah, I wouldn't do it straight off the bat if you're just trying things out.
Yeah. So Axel says, I understand life is about learning, but I don't want to follow a resource I but about what I heard or read is incorrect, and the consequences can be severe.
They
That's why I
sure
asked. Look,
can. They
they can,
can.
right? And those consequences cost money, they cost energy, they take time, right? And that's why we need to turn those failures into lessons so that we don't, necessarily make those same mistakes. I would also see, like, find out who you can utilize that you can trust, and as Sam, you kind of alluded to, you know before you go and watch somebody, jingle keys in front of a camera on Instagram, in a loop or
Uh-huh.
whatever they call that, right? Um, a boomerang. Make sure that you're actually following what they do, and see, like, go listen to interviews with that person, right? Like, I mean, like, I know, Sam, you probably have a ton of interviews on your site. I have like over
Mm-hmm.
150 interviews I've done over the last 8 years. And the story is the same. It's been the same since day one. And it's just one of those things where it's like don't, like I said, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. It sucks because we all want it to be true. We all want it to be the magic bullet. In fact, I was just talking with a fan of the show a couple hours ago, like back at like the 1 o'clock hour. And they asked my opinion on a company that is offered to do all this stuff for their product, and they're like, oh, well, it's going to be 10 grand. And I'm like, you haven't sold the product yet. Let's
Mm-hmm.
make 10 of them and go to a flea market, go to a farmer's market, get a
Mm-hmm.
booth, sell 10 of them, and get somebody to, like, touch it, feel it, and say, yes, here's some money, right?
Uh-huh.
And once you do that, then you're better served getting that than spending $10,000 hoping for a magic bullet that it's going to just all work. Because $10,000 is only going to get you so far. It's only going to get you like a little bit of that journey, and it's hard to hear because I know when we get excited about things, like we really want them to work. We really want like, oh, I just all I gotta do is spend $5,000 and like I can become this Instagram star and I'll have all these clients coming in or I'll have all these people buying my product because I spent money with this person. I've been there. I've been there. I've been there. I wanted it so bad. I was
Yeah.
like, let's blow up this YouTube channel. Let's go fast. Like in 2017. I was like this close to spending that money. I'm glad I didn't spend that money. I'm glad that I like learn the lessons that I needed to learn, keep going and gaining those experiences and eventually getting to where I'm at today, which is still at the very beginning of the of the process, even 8 years into it.
I think that something that that Alex said, and I think that's something that you said then, that I would like to tie this up with, is that you can't be in business and not have failures. It is absolutely impossible, 100% impossible. Like there is going to be failures. There's going to be things that go wrong, things that you do wrong. However, it is what you just said, Joe. It's about reframing all those failures as lessons and bringing those lessons forward so that you don't make the same mistake again. But there is absolutely no way to be in business and not make a mistake or have something go wrong. It's it's about as certain as death and taxes.
Yeah. and change. Change is one of the few constants we have.
Yeah.
The one of the big hard lessons, like back in, I don't remember, it was like 2004, 2005, 2000. Actually, it might have been like 7 or 8, but anyway, or in the 2000s, was we switched from one vendor to another vendor. Well, the problem is, that one of the unforeseen issues that, it's like, oh, we're going to get all this product lifted out. It's a little bit cheaper, like on our cost end, and everything's going to be great, right? Well, the problem is we had the same part numbers with the other vendor for like 20 years. And the people that worked there, a lot of our people had worked there for like, 10 plus years to 10 to 20 years. So when we switched, we tried to do we'll just make everything a conversion. So we put all the part numbers so they matched up. So it was easy. But the thing is not everything matches up. So there was some key numbers that they're not 1-to-1 as you would think they would be. So in some instances, it's this part number, depending on what truck it's going on. And some instances, this part number. Well, at the end of the day, we ended up going back to the vendor after about 1.5 years of that failure. And that ended up costing us an awful lot of money to make the switch back over. Getting inventory lifted out and stuff was, and it cost us some relationships, because we damaged some of those relationships. So look, those lessons are going to happen. It's part of business and the risks that we take to do what we do.
Absolutely.
There's a bunch of comments here. Let's see. Nayla, I don't know if that's how you pronounce your name, so I apologize if that's not the case. I have an idea for a milk product, but finding a co-packer to help get myself started has been pretty much impossible. I was told by one that getting a milk supplier is very hard. Should I abandon my idea? I'm not surprised. I mean, the milk cartel it's
huge.
Right? And it's easy. It's easier for them to just bundle the milk in the jug and send it on its way than doing something different. It costs. It takes time, right, to change the process. So I think that when I don't know that. I mean, have you gone to the farms themselves? I know Jen on a previous episode here was talking about how she made a relationship with a local farm to get food, right? So like, is that go to like not the big farm people, right? Let's go like 1 or 2 steps down. Let's go to the local farm and say, hey, what can I do to get some of your milk? I mean, finding a co-packer probably it's not always easy. In fact, we were just talking about that on Sunday's episode. So if you want a really good interview with somebody who's just working with a co-packer, that Regina Creasy on from Shark Tank with the diaper, was it the diaper dust? because it's activated charcoal. So she had to find not just a co-packer, but a co-packer who already works with activated charcoal. Which you don't just go to the activated charcoal co-packer registry and be like, boop boop boop. Okay, let me like dial it in,
Yeah.
and then I'll just start making some phone calls, and like one of them will say yes. It's one of those things that's very difficult. So I would try to see can you have you gone down the line to like some of the smaller players and local players to see if that can work for you. And Nayla says, okay, okay. So
Yeah,
that's
I would
good.
be. It's always about the people. I think we've mentioned that many times on this show, and I know that you talk about it all the time, Joe, is that build relationships, go and find those people that can help, start on a small scale, but it's all about the relationships.
Yes, it really is all about the relationships. I see.
We've
Let's
got
see this
collegedropoutmerch.com is what we're looking
merch.com.
up, Joe. That's it.
Okay. So if I share my share, I typed in college dropout clothing, and the first things I got was college dropout by whatever, and Veronica and Rachel, and it's about This is like MTV's College Dropout. So that makes
It
it
was
a
very
little
difficult
hard.
to find.
Yes, yes, because then we go to Kanye West because his first album was called The College Dropout or College Dropout, the College Dropout, which is makes it even harder to find. And it's gonna be hard. And then obviously there's this Facebook page, which I'm guessing is not the same as this, since it's not the same logo.
Doesn't look like the same one.
I mean, I like the designs. I like the designs.
So I think,
But
like, straight off the bat, it was tricky to find. That's what we're trying to say.
Yeah, it definitely is tricky to find. But I like the .com, collegedropoutmerch.com.
Mm.
So the thing is what was the original question? The original question was how to
do I get
break
it out there? I
through.
think if I've got this right,
Yeah, here you go.
that's it.
I post frequently on TikTok, and I started Instagram ads and Facebook. I mean, look, clothing is it's tough, right? I've done lots of different clothes. I usually have sold most of my clothes through events, tying them to conferences and things that I've hosted, or anniversaries to my podcast and things of that nature. I mean, I have I'm wearing the super hoodie right now, but it really comes down to how much people are associating themselves with the brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's really
Which is what I was going to say.
to.
Again, in a different context, it comes back to the people. So I would be using TikTok and Instagram to build a community of raving fans, like people that really want to be part of this. And if I look at or the first people that come to mind that sell merch on TikTok are people that don't actually talk about their merch. So two people that immediately come to mind is Elise Myers on TikTok, who tells the best stories, and she has a merch for fans of her channel, which actually have, it has nothing to do with that. And the other person, I can't think of her name, but she's an English girl, and she has her most hilarious skits about different body parts. So it's like the heart is talking, and then the brain's like, no, we don't do that. And, there's all these different body parts that talk to each other. And it's very, very funny. And she's got a merch range as well. So they're not actually talking about their merch. They're building a community of people around some sort of shared, topic, I guess, and doing that. So I think that could be a good way to go is having some sort of skits around being a college dropout and building that community of people that want to be part of that, I guess, that, or have that. What am I trying to say here, Joe? They've got that shared
shared
yeah.
Yeah, they want to be about part of the community. They self-identify with what it's
Thank you.
about.
Self-identify was what I was looking for. Uh-huh.
I noticed on your website though there's no links to any of the social media, so I don't have an easy way to go and find what you got going on over there. I would love to go
Hmm.
and check that out.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it is look, clothing is tough. Like I said, it's best if you can get people to rally around something, a theme, a conference, an event. I mean, look, you go to a concert, right? I mean, what was that, the Green Day? It was at the Hella Mega Tour here. It was here in Philly, and the merch line literally was like wrapped. There was like three tables wrapped around the entire stadium, and the lines were like over halfway to the next table. That's how far back the line went for each of those tables that they had set up. And shirts were like $65 for a t-shirt. So, these are the types of things, like, if you're going to get that, you got to get people behind what you're doing.
Uh-huh. But they want to be
And
part of something.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think a great example of this, Jacob, is if you go and look up Spurgo, that he was just on Shark Tank. He's like 15 years old, and started a high-end clothing line called Spurgo. And it's like sports something and go. I forget what it like literally means something. And that is again, getting people to self-identify with it is really important for them to want to wear. I mean,
Totally.
because like, just think about this. Like, if you go somewhere where there's a lot of people. Like, if you go to, like, we go to the shore, right? You go on the boardwalk, you go to the mall, wherever there's a lot of people. A sports stadium. A sports stadium is a little different because you're there for an event and all that. But like, just look at, like, how often do you see these people walking around with the same shirts? Almost never.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Almost. I mean, I walk around with a Beast hoodie, a Mr. Beast hoodie, and I don't see anybody else wearing Mr. Beast clothing. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you know,
Totally. Build the
it's
community.
tough.
Build the community.
You absolutely need to. Absolutely need
And
to.
so on that, I think the number one thing I'd be doing, exactly like you said, Joe, is adding social media links to these pages. Because especially if you're spending money on Facebook ads and Instagram ads, which I probably possibly may not be doing just yet, I don't know, without diving deeper into this, I would definitely be adding social media links.
Yeah, I would definitely get the social media links up there. And I would also say, I don't see on your site what is, let's say, okay, so I see our mission: let the world know that it's okay to make the necessary move to chase your dreams. If college isn't for you, that's okay. But that's at the bottom of your
Yeah,
site.
I would have that. Yeah.
Like, that needs to be, to me, that needs to be very much
Right
spoken at the top, right? And
yeah.
there's the I'm dumb. I should have saw that. I can go to Instagram.
Where is it?
And it was at the top, but it's not as a link. It's just like ad.
Okay. Yeah, I would be changing that.
Yeah. So 382 followers. We'll follow it. Let's send some followers Jacob's way there. Because I am a two-time college dropout myself. Did you go to college, Sam?
I did not. I did not go to college.
So you're a different.
I'm a
dropout.
high school dropout.
Hey.
I just always have to win, don't I?
You do. It's okay. It's okay. Still love you. Still love you.
Traditional learning, no fun. But I do so many courses in stuff that I actually love. I just didn't like school.
I didn't like school the first time. The second time I did, but it didn't align with where I was heading. So it just wasn't going to work out. Jacob says, I've done multiple events and sold 15,000 in sales, which is great, dude.
Yeah, well done.
That ain't nothing. Do you think renaming my business would help?
No.
Well, probably, yeah.
I don't. No, I don't think the name is. I wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't think you need to change the name. Just because it's hard now doesn't mean it won't
Mm-hmm.
get easier.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those building momentum things, right? As
Yeah.
you do it more, it'll just get easier and easier for people to find you. As I say, I think your .com is good.
Yeah.
And it's not too long. It says what it is, and it's there. But you just got to get more people to go into the site, building that community around it. Um, but he says, "Okay, thank you. I'll be for sure be restructuring my approach to the business,
Yeah. Spend some
which is
time thinking
great."
about content creation, and how you could really like have a look at TikTok and the accounts that are doing really well. They're creating stories around the mission. So your mission
There you
was
go. There
um
you go. Right there.
yeah, nice.
I yes, huge Kanye fan. Um, yeah. No, I think it's good. I think you just gotta keep um you keep grinding it out. It can take a while, but people, will eventually come around to it. If especially, there's as we said before with the whole like, do I buy a course or what do I read? What do I watch as far as like business? Like you gotta just you know the people that you should be paying attention to are the people that have been around for a long
Mm-hmm.
time or
Mm-hmm.
are doing it. They have the interviews, do your research on them, and that is the same with building any brand. Like you just have you stick around long enough, people are finally going to recognize, start to recognize, and come along for the ride. So very good. Now, Sam, are you up against it for time?
I'm getting there, but I'm okay for a
You're
bit.
all right. Let's see. There was one or two other questions here. Um, let's see. I'm not. I've seen this commenter around, but I don't know how to pronounce it. I find the best way to learn a software is to just download it and start learning it, make mistakes, and then YouTube problems as they arrive and keep
Mm-hmm.
moving. Ding ding,
I
a
totally
hundred and ten
agree.
percent.
100% agree with that.
Um, what was there? There is how do you get in touch with angel investors? That is tough. The best way I know how to do it is I mean, there's usually pitch events. Getting to go and do those. If I was or Al, if you want, there's a friend of mine who well, they were two friends. One sadly passed away a couple weeks back in like February due to a really terrible accident. They run a show called Make Your Pitch, and Eileen it was one of the two people that did it, and she is keeping the torch going. I forget which college she's at. Speaking of college, and she's done a lot of these pitch competitions and things, and helping. I forget. Oh God, which company is it? It's one of the big companies. She helped get them their original money like to get going. One of the big social medias. I want to say I don't want to say because I forget which one it is because it's been like 2 years now since we had that
But she
conversation.
had some
So I don't want to
success,
misspoke.
some
Oh
big
yeah.
success.
She absolutely has. She's older lady. Has been around a business a long time and works with I forget which college. She's in I think either New York or Boston, one or the other. Um, and has a ton of experience in doing this. So what I would try to do is get to those events, any pitch competitions that you possibly can, just so you can make those
Mm.
conversations happen. Build a
And be
platform
around
for
in those
yourself.
communities too, going on what you're saying, because they have really great communities. And sometimes I don't know. I know here there's some meetups that may be starting to come back with like pitch communities, and
Mm.
hang around people that are doing it. Get the lowdown from them.
I know Michelle Talbert, who's a good friend of the show. I might have her come on my show in a little bit to talk about the. We're both well. She fell asleep during episode 3, but we're both watching the Kanye West documentary, and so we're gonna talk about it when we meet up. But I was like, we should probably talk about because it's so good. Anyway, she was telling me about down in Miami how big of a community that they have down there of people that are get looking for working with angel investors and that kind of stuff.
Mm.
But you got to find the right people. It's also possible to get in touch. Like I have one friend who that's all he does is, well, not all he does. That's one of the big things he's done in his life is go and get, be the money guy and go and make those cold calls and get the money for big projects. So, I don't want to out who that person is, but they've done it, here it's a big project. It was a big project here in Jersey, and he was one of the cornerstone people to help make that happen. So I think it's important to get involved with the community that you have around you. Look for them on Facebook. They're connected. Whatever the social media platform of choice is, they're connected.
Yeah, it's a big community.
Yeah, if you're, I think Al, I believe he's in the LA area. If it's involving tech, go to wearelatech.com. Check out Esprit Devora. She's awesome. She's very good friend of mine. And they're all connected with people that pay money in the LA area. So it's even just because it's tech doesn't mean it has to be in in Silicon Valley. Shining Go DMS Bay Blader says, I have a question about building a website for my business. Is it best to hire someone to make one for me, or is Wix a good tool to do so? What would you guys recommend for websites? Do you have a recommendation as a non-tech
Without
person?
knowing what this website is, it makes it a little bit trickier for me to answer this because, is it a blog? Is it an e-com site? Is it, what's it for? I'm a big believer in not using sites like Wix or Squarespace just purely from, having a clean code kind of, from that standpoint. However, in saying that, depending on what it is that you want to do, Wix could be just a great way to get started. I probably wouldn't pay, just guessing from this comment, this person, Shining Go DMS Beyblader, doesn't have a business. That's a guess, and I could be wrong. But if he doesn't, I'd probably go down the Wix path just to get started. I'm not a big believer in throwing lots of money into something at the beginning because, Joe, as you and I know, things change. It changes. We change, and you've got to get it out there and figure out what's working and what's not. And what you end up doing is very rarely what you started out doing. Would you agree with that, Joe? Because I know you are the tech guy.
What I thought you were going to say. Really? What I thought you were going to say. Yeah, I thought you were going to go down the route of skewing me for our debate from like a year ago about do you need a website or do you not need a website to get started?
Uh-huh.
And how you're like, no, you don't need a website. Just go.
I don't think that you do need a website to get started. I'm a big and I still stand by that. I don't think that you do need a website to get started. Well, so, I didn't.
Right. And well, yeah. So I think that looking at Wix or Squarespace, if you don't have the experience or the computing knowledge to go down a WordPress route, I think that just to get started, to get some kind of landing page and the domain name can really help, right? I don't think it's the end all be all. I don't think you have to, depending on where you're at. I don't think that, it's like, oh, we have to pay for somebody to build a website. I actually had somebody who was looking for me to do a bunch of branding for them. And ultimately I was like, I just don't have the bandwidth right now for it. But they were like, well, we can, we don't have a website yet, but for the logo, we have like a budget of $1,000. And I was like, okay, that seems like an awful lot for a logo. When you don't even have the website built. You can always change colors and a logo on a website, right? So it's just things. So I'm all about going the fastest but also inexpensive route to get it going. And while I'm not a huge fan of Wix, I I would prefer somebody go with Squarespace just because Wix has had issues in the past with like not being able to be found. I mean, it was very short periods of
Mm-hmm.
time,
Mm-hmm.
but Wix generally is not the
Mm,
way to go. I
mm.
would trust Squarespace all the way. And
Or
there's a
even
lot of
something
other
like
opportunities.
and other page builders on WordPress like Elementor or you know,
You
it
can, but
can, yeah.
where are you at, right? Where's your tech knowledge at? And that's
Mm,
where like a Squarespace. But I mean, well, I thought you were gonna go the route of like GoDaddy has their own builder, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
DreamHost has their own builder. Like a lot of these companies
Most
have
of the
their own
hosting
builders
companies
now.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, and like realistically, a template could work. And depending on what your business is, it might actually make more sense to go with like a Mailchimp or Aweber or someone that also gives you landing pages, because that really is all you might need when you're just getting started in a way like with a contact form,
Mm,
like logo, picture, contact form, coming soon, and it just gets you going. So depending on what you're trying to accomplish, obviously we don't have all that information, but easier the better when you're getting started. Spend that time, because you can go down the rabbit hole. Like you're like, oh, I'm just gonna spend 10 minutes on fixing some things on a website. An hour and a half goes by, 2 hours go by, 4 hours go by, and you've worked on your website. But if you don't have traffic going to it, then it
uh-huh.
probably ain't gonna make a difference
Won't make any
it
difference,
ain't,
which is,
not for the time invested.
yeah, which is why I say you don't necessarily need a website. But again, it depends on your business.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Glad that we could be of service there. So I real quick before we wrap up here, I know there was one other question. How do I get started with no money? What's your 30-second answer to that, Sam?
Get started with what? I like that's just
Right.
such a,
Well,
yeah, no, take that one, Joe.
MVP. MVP. Start with the minimum viable product, right? Whatever it is that you can get started with, that's where you start, right? And if the minimal viable product is like version 0.001 of something that you literally cobbled together because you have no money to be able to do it, then again, go and get that proof of concept, right? And when you say no money, I mean, what's no money? Is that $100 no money? Is that $1,000 no money? That's super relative or
Mm-hmm.
subjective, relative. I don't know. What's one of those things? It's relative to the situation of what is no money. If you literally have no money, go get some rocks. Go find some pretty shells on the seashore and like sell those, and then you literally, you know, take that money and then reiterate, right? So that's me. Start with the minimum viable product. What's
Mm-hmm.
the smallest amount of thing that you can make some kind of money with doing?
I read it. It was actually a Facebook connection that I saw. I don't know this person. We're connected on Facebook, but I don't actually know them. And only a few years ago, she started her business by just hand making her clothing and selling it at her local market. And I think it's like 4 years later, and she's in this like beautiful boutique, like in a tourist city or a tourist town, I guess, that is very exclusive. And she's got this beautiful boutique, and it's only taken her 4 years, but she's done like she was talking about her journey. It didn't just go from market to that boutique, but in 4 years, she just kept making steps forward, steps forward, steps forward, and she's where she is now. And I think that's the same with any business. Exactly, you've just got to start at the beginning. You can't start at, for most people, they can't start at the boutique right at the beginning. But for her, if she
You
hadn't
shouldn't.
have gone and got that, exactly what you're saying, that MVP, and getting, out there and at the markets and chatting to the people and finding out what people like and what people are willing to spend money on, and getting, having those conversations of how do I change this? How do I make it better? She potentially may not have wound up there anyway. So, yeah.
Those experiences matter, right? Those conversations matter greatly. So speaking of experiences, so I haven't done a video on this yet. I probably will maybe do a live stream or something. I did post a picture on Facebook. I haven't posted on Instagram yet. I have returned as the COO of Pardo Fleet Solutions, this company that's this hat, not this hat. That's the super hat. This hat right here. And like today was actually somewhat move-in day. I had to actually evict my dad out of his office and move him to a different office in a slightly different part of the building to make room for me to be able to have a desk and all that. In fact, I need to go pick up a desk because getting desks is not easy. I went to Staples. The first Staples I went to that's been there for, I don't even know how long it's been there, but it's been there as long as I can remember, was no longer there. It was literally just like for rent sign up on the window. I'm like, oh wow, this really sucks. Okay, so I went to a different side. I drove across to another town, went to that Staples. All they have, I like 30-inch deep desks. I don't like 24-inch desks. I don't know how that equates to millimeters or centimeters.
Absolutely no idea. Sorry, can't help you. No idea.
Well, I think Google can.
Well, how many inches was it? Sorry, 30.
30. So 762 millimeters. So would that be
76 centimeters?
76 centimeters. Yes, that is. So I because most of the desks are 24, and I do not like as a 6'3" person, I do not like a 24-inch desk. I like my monitor to be a little bit further away from me. It's just, every time I've tried a 24-inch desk, I did not like the experience at all. So my dad had a desk there, but the desk has like a metal bar going underneath the wood, and it's like about a half-inch, quarter-inch too thick for me to be able to get my clamps, like my monitor clamp on there, and everything, like, because I'm gonna have some lighting and a camera set up and my microphone set up like I have here, so that I can do videos from there at night or after hours, before hours, and things like that, so I can kind of fill in the my YouTube obligations to continue to produce content. So I need to be able to have things like that. Plus for like video calls, and stuff like that, which is super common now that the illness has happened. So anyway, trying to go get a desk. I actually had to go get a desk tonight because that desk that's already there is just not. It's only 24 inches deep, and not going to work for me with my clamps, everything, monitor clamps and all that. So yeah, so that makes means that I have a lot more on my plate in the very near future here.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Oh, well, congratulations being back in the business.
Hey, thank you. I mean, I never truly left. I was just not going to work. I would only go like one day a week, and I was mostly maintaining systems and processes from here in my garage, as a certain famous nobody would say. So anyway, it's gonna be tricky. It's gonna be a challenge. I'm always up for a challenge, and we will see how all that plays out.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, we have been here for, I think, the longest show we've ever done, Joe.
Ding ding. We've had the most questions we've ever had too.
We have. So thank you everyone for all your questions. Yeah. So good.
Yes. It has been awesome to get to help people literally across the world, and have so many people want to take our advice, or I should point this way, to take our advice. It's a wonderful feeling, and I just thankful for people to listen and watch.
So very well said. Great show.
Thank you. So this episode has been sponsored by yourpodcastconcierge.com. If you have a podcast, if you have a clothing line and you want to start a podcast, hey, there's an opportunity to work with somebody who's going to help you get all that podcast audio edited, get it up online, walk you through the process of getting things to work the way you need them to work, so that people can hear you great and you sound great, your guests sound great, everything's great. So go to have a chat with Leon over at yourpodcastconcierge.com. We will be back when we'll be back. In 2 weeks.
2
I should have
weeks.
looked this up. In 2 weeks, we'll be back with another Business Geeks episode. So that is Thursday, the 24th at 4 p.m. Eastern. Well, it'll be in daylight time then. So I guess,
I'm not quite sure what time it's going to be here.
we might actually have to work that out. We will figure it out. And then I don't know what time it'll be in Australia, but it'll be Friday morning, most likely, and Thursday afternoon here in the States. Anyway, thank you all for watching and listening and joining us. Greatly appreciate you all. Take care and have a wonderful day.
Ciao.
If I can find the end